Welcome to Nerdities. Bitches.
Good evening, Wrestle fans. It is with a heavy heart that I start the show tonight. And we are, after a lengthy period of time, ending this show wrestling with ourselves. It's the little engine that can't. It's not getting the ratings it needs. I appreciate all of you who have steadily listened. There's just not enough, and we have a lot of projects going on, and I need to cut back on the amount of wrestling I watch. Once a month, you'll still get a wrestling update on The One Above All, our news show. We do appreciate you. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, nope, fuck yo kids, Nerdities presents to you its podcast and internet trios champions of the world. I am co-host of this show, a third of said trio. I am the alpha of alphas, the lord and master of the universe, quite possibly the greatest host in all of professional wrestling podcasting. I am Justin. As always, joined by my hetero life mate. He is the king of chaos. He is the god of the dad bod.
Kyle. And I gotta be honest, even though this is the last time we're doing this, I kind of started to think of myself as like the O'Shea Jackson Jr. of New Jersey.
Okay. Alright. Rounding out our trio. He is one of the most important people in our lives. Some say the funniest addition to this podcast. Some say, not me. He is the squishiest of the squish lords. He is the Jean-Claude Van Damme of the body slam.
Ligma.
Like your first or last name.
All right.
Ligma nuts.
All right. And now, he is the oldest young boy in the business. He is the $1 million mensch. The guy in our chair.
Joe. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be wrestling with ourselves without introducing one of the greatest minds in podcast wrestling history. He hails from parts well known. He is the mouth of the East. He is God's favorite atheist.
Mike, and I refuse to let you not be what this episode started as. This started as one of those episodes where a wrestler just died and Vince comes out alone on stage and has to be all sullen. That's the way I want this whole episode to go. No, you can't just turn it into like just a random Monday Night Raw. No.
I did, though.
This is a solemn experience.
Well, he can come out all sullen on Monday Night Raw. By the end of the first hour, he's back to like the
Kiss my ass.
yeah.
Someone get me an intern to fuck.
Ah, jeez. Hand me the Undertaker. You know what I mean.
Allegedly.
This girl's a size queen. Give me the Big Show.
Who's gonna take a dump?
Oh, God. We don't need to leave the room, honey. Sit over here.
All right, kids. One last time, baby.
That Vince voice takes a lot out of you.
It does. So the internet is still in a bit of an uproar over the contract status of Rey Fenix. Because as of yesterday, Penta became a free agent. And the internet's all like, fuck Tony Khan, fuck AEW. It's not fair that they're extending his contract because of injury time. Even though Vince McMahon and WWE are notorious for it.
internet always fuck AEW and fuck Tony Khan?
Pretty much.
Okay. You're saying it like it was something new. Maybe like some new version of it?
Not really. Version 1.
Yeah, let's get every wrestling fun we can into this fucking show.
Every fucking
Anyone
time.
we have not exhausted so far.
Oh, it's time to get on that pun train.
Yeah, we probably won't be able to get an NC-17, but at least we can get a rated RKO.
Hey. Stay tuned next month. The show's being replaced by a live sex celebration.
There you go.
I promise you.
What?
We might fuck it to death, but it won't be a corpse when we climb into its casket.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a
I'm
Katie. That was
scared.
a Katie Vick joke.
This show is about to be as painful as giving birth to a hand.
Oh, God. Hey, I'm not trying to be Rick Rude here, but can we get on the road?
Alright.
All right, Kyle, what say you? You are a big Lucha Brothers fan.
I am. I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm the biggest, but it hurts, especially because for a long time there, Penta was my favorite wrestler in AEW.
Yeah.
And that was when everybody that was big was healthy.
Yeah.
I just liked everything about him. I liked his persona, his moveset, everything. Singles and tag team. So it sucks that he's leaving, but one of the biggest things I wanted out of them staying in AEW was for the Motor City Machine Guns to come there so that I could see a series of matches between the Lucha Brothers and Motor City Machine Guns, and then also have a third team in there being FTR, and have like those trio of tag teams run the division for like a solid year. Obviously that didn't happen. Motor City Machine Guns are already in WWE. The thing about this that is weird to me is that separately, Penta and Rey Fenix have both come out and said that they are still like they haven't talked to WWE, which is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know why I would not believe them when they say that, but yeah, because there was the whole thing where they were originally supposed to be the team that debuted on the main roster, and Motor City Machine Guns were supposed to be the team that debuted on NXT, but Motor City Machine Guns went to the main roster because the Lucha Brothers couldn't go. That was like a whole internet rumor that I don't think was ever proven. But here's the thing. If they aren't already in talks with WWE and they aren't already committed to going there, what is Tony doing right now not putting them on TV? Because having them sit at home is going to guarantee that they walk.
Well, right. But here's a way that you got to look at it. By benching Rey Fenix for a year, he's lowering his stock, which is going to do one of two things. WWE is going to lose interest, knowing he's not as hot, because for the last year, no one's fucking heard anything from him. And so when that happens and WWE loses interest and the Lucha Brothers have to come back, it drives down their bargaining price.
Yeah.
Because it is something that everybody seems to forget. This is a fucking business.
Yeah. Driving down the bargaining price doesn't really seem like a very Tony thing to do, but I mean, it would make sense.
Right.
My thing is...
Can't be Mr. Nice Guy all the fucking time.
Well, my thing is, if Paul Levesque is smart, he will have... Because he, regardless of the bullshit that he says, he does watch everything, right?
Yeah.
So, if he's smart, he would know that Penta, as a singles wrestler, is marketable.
Sure.
He's not a top-of-the-card guy, but he could be a solid mid-card marketable wrestler. He can wrestle on premium live events. He's good enough. he will gain enough interest just by the way that he is as a character. It would be smart to sign him and bring him in immediately if Tony doesn't work out a deal with them somehow. Here's that can happen. He doesn't have to take away a top spot from anybody to do that, and then he can put him in a situation where Penta goes up against somebody dangerous or gets jumped by two people, and then later on have Ray debut in a year.
The problem with that is, you and I both know this is just, we're going to grab people away from Tony. And because they're Hispanic, they're going to get shoved into Legado de Fantasma.
I mean, it's possible.
Because he doesn't see color, but, like, all your Hispanic wrestlers are in the same fucking group, or fighting that group as another group of Hispanic wrestlers. They're Legado, or they're the shitty version of the LWO that they redid.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. So then you're just going to make fans who are like, oh, I fucking love Penta, and then you bring him over and he gets treated like they treat 90% of the people they bring over. And you're like, yeah, that's right, this is why I fucking hate this company.
Yeah.
So, I say, chill out, everybody. See what fucking happens. We had 2 pay-per-views happen in the last 2 weeks. First is AEW's Full Gear. Happened Saturday before last. The AEW World Championship was on the line as Jon Moxley defended his title against Orange Cassidy, defeating Orange Cassidy via pinfall with the help of the Death Riders, Moxley's new group name since they did what they did to Bryan Danielson.
Pretty stupid name.
Moxley's called the Death Rider in Japan. So,
sure.
It makes sense.
Does it, though?
Not really. It's wrestling.
How do you tell that story? How do you get the name Death Rider? Has anyone ever ridden Death?
Apparently, Jon Moxley has.
I rode Death. It's called one of my exes.
Ba-dum-bum.
Ah.
That might be what he's going for.
Maybe.
That he's so badass he actually fucked Death.
I'd rather be called Death Humper.
That's weird. Humper doesn't
More
flow.
direct.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to fuck Death. That would be awful.
No, you fuck people to death.
I mean, if
Hold on. God, no.
Wait.
No.
Is Death Aubrey Plaza?
If Death is Aubrey Plaza, yeah, I would have to get a hall pass on that one. But yeah, Aubrey Plaza is freaking gorgeous. Yeah.
Scene?
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley defeated Swerve Strickland via submission with the Hurt Lock in Lashley's debut pay-per-view match. AEW International Championship was on the line as Konosuke Takeshita defended his title against Ricochet. He would pick up the pinfall here. The TNT Championship was on the line as Jack Perry defended his title against Daniel Garcia. And Danny Garcia would beat him to become the new TNT Champion.
Is Perry still running heel?
Yes.
I wonder if he's going to take the name Jungle back when he goes face.
God, I hope not.
He's definitely coming out to that other fucking music. Kyle Fletcher defeated Will Ospreay via pinfall after a turnbuckle brainbuster. Jay White defeated Hangman Adam Page via pinfall after hitting the Blade Runner. What is definitely Mercedes Moné's best match she's had in AEW. She defeated Chris Statlander to retain her TBS championship. It was like 25 minutes long. It was a hell of a fucking match. One Maxwell Jacob Friedman would defeat Roderick Strong via submission. The AEW Tag Team Championships were on the line. Private Party defending their titles against the Outrunners, the Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaimed. They would retain their titles.
That sounds like the lineup at like Lollapalooza's second stage.
Yeah, it does.
Or maybe third stage.
Buddy Matthews would defeat the Beast Mordos, Dante Martin, and Commander in a fatal four-way on the pre-show. Anna Jade would defeat Deonna Purrazzo via pinfall on the pre-show. And in the main event of the fucking pre-show, QT Marshall would lose to the Costco guy from TikTok.
Huh?
Yeah. So, if anybody has spent time on the TikToks,
Never.
there's this dude and his kid, and they did these videos where they were like eating shit in Costco, and then it took off, and they somehow became like overnight sensations.
Double chocolate cookie!
Yeah, see, Vinny fucking knows what I'm talking about.
Only because comedy podcasts, because they make fun of these fucking guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, the dad, AJ, was a professional wrestler back in the day. He's still a pretty yoked guy. So yeah, that happened. I understand Tony's decision for this. They have a fucking following. Like 4 to 5 million fucking followers.
Which I guess makes sense for its place on the card.
Sure.
Because it's not technically on the main show, but it's right before the main show starts.
Yeah.
But I hear that, and I think, God, if I'm Anna Jay and Deonna Purrazzo...
Pissed.
I'm
pissed. I am pissed.
Yeah. the lineup that you... That was the whole lineup, right?
Yeah, it was the whole night.
So, there's a couple things in there that I just want to throw out thoughts on. The first one is Private Party being the tag champs.
Yes.
I don't know if we ever talked about this before, but I have long thought that the plan was for them to win the titles instead of Jurassic Express when Jurassic Express won. And I think that because Jurassic Express beat the Young Bucks for the titles, right, in a triple threat match, I believe. And, but they really had no history or anything that said that they were capable of carrying the titles when they won them, and I had a real problem with it. But I think the reason that happened and that audible had to happen is because of Mark Quinn's injury history.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like every time Private Party started to get some steam, he got hurt. Because if you remember in the original tournament that they did for the tag titles, they beat the Young Bucks in the first round.
Yes.
So I thought it was going to be part of the story that they would eventually beat the Young Bucks for the titles again.
They go into all that on the podcast they did with Jericho.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's actually, it was a really fun listen.
Private Party does?
Yeah, like, their story is really interesting.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to bring up on this is, well, I guess, yeah, so Swerve Strickland's beatdown from Bobby Lashley makes me think, like, with the way everybody's handling the Death Riders and, like, who's going to be the face leader of the locker room and, you know what I mean, to lead the charge of the Death Riders, and everybody thought it was going to be Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy already lost, and all that other shit, and it looks like it's going to end up being Darby Allin, which is what we all thought originally anyway.
Yeah.
But with all of that going on, there's not a face in place to come to the aid of Swerve in this situation.
No.
Do you think we get the return of Keith Lee as
That's what I was
his
just
backup?
thinking. Literally what I was just thinking.
Because that's kind of what I hope for. Because he's a bigger bodied guy that, while Swerve looks like, I mean, he's well built. He looks like a legitimate threat to anybody. But, I mean, side by side, he's a better comp for Shelton Benjamin. Like, Keith Lee next to Bobby Lashley it just visually looks more even.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of hope that happens. All right, are we on to the next pay-per-view then?
We are headed to the next pay-per-view. WWE Survivor Series, War Games. From this past Saturday night. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae put on one of the worst fucking matches I've seen in my entire career. It was ugly.
Missed spots.
It was bad, dude. Nia Jax was throwing chair shots that looked like the kind of taps I do when I boop someone on the fucking nose. I wish that was an exaggeration.
Are they supposed to be doing chair shots anymore?
They could do them to the back, dude.
Okay.
And this was rough. Rhea Ripley would pin Liv Morgan to get the win for her team. So that was good.
That's good for story.
Yeah. LA Knight defended his United States Championship versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And Shinsuke would beat him to become the new champion. This had to happen.
Why do you say that?
Because it would have been a waste to bring Nakamura back with a new paint job and some altered music and have him lose to LA Knight. LA Knight is much better in the chase than he is as the champion anyway.
Sure.
The Intercontinental Championship was on the line. Braun Breaker defending his title versus Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. Breaker would defeat Sheamus and Kaiser via pinfall to retain his title. The World Heavyweight Championship was on the line as Gunther defended his title versus Damian Priest. And thanks to some interference by Finn Balor, Gunther would defeat Priest to retain his title. Next up, the OG Bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and one C. Montgomery Punk would take on the new Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. Now you're asking, how did CM Punk end up with the rest of the Bloodline? And I'll answer that. So they were throwing around this thing where, like, Seth Rollins kept being asked, and Rollins is like, fuck Roman Reigns, I'll shit in his hat, blah, 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 I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, yada, yada, yada. And they were all like, oh man, we're going to need someone. And then Paul Heyman shows up on SmackDown like a week and a half ago. And he's like, my name is Paul Heyman. And
Yep.
it's not going to be, it's not going to be 5-on-4. It's going to be 5-on-5. And then cue CM Punk's music. And Roman's like, fuck this cracker. And Punk's all like, I'm doing this for Paul. I'm not fucking doing it for you. And then a week later, they're like, we're going to have this cinematic sit-down with this background music, which makes no sense whatsoever. But hey, 5.5-minute segment. And Roman and Punk are like, I hate you. No, I hate you. Just when you thought they're going to be like, I hate you more. It was more like, I'm doing this for Paul, and he's going to owe me a favor. And Roman's like, what's the favor? And Heyman's like, oh, my tribal chief, I don't know. And so this match happens. And it's a pretty good match, I gots to say. And then the OG Bloodline would win. Thus setting up last night on Raw, where Seth Rollins called out Sami Zayn, and he's like, you're a fucking hypocrite. And he's like, and you team with CM Punk. And Zayn's like, oh, I'm a fucking hypocrite? I remember asking you twice, you fucking blonde-haired tipped bitch. And Seth's like, And Sami's like, oh yeah, you fucking remember that? Remember that? I didn't want to fucking team with Punk. No one wanted to team with Punk. But you were too fucking good to put your ego aside and team with Roman. And then Rollins would be like, oh, I'm going to fucking fight you, Sami Zayn. And Sami's like, whatever, bitch, let's go. And then out comes Punk, and Punk's like, you've spent 6 months thinking about me, and I have never thought about you. And Rollins is like, I'm going to fuck you. I mean, kill you. And they beat the shit out of each other. And then, their fake authority figures come out, and they're like, you can't fight, even though this show is clearly about fighting. And the crowds are like, let them fight. And Adam Pearce is like, fuck you. The end.
It's a good summary.
Nice little capper at the end.
I have to say,
Yes.
all the ways that they could have gone with who the fifth member was going to be, all the realistic ways. I'm not talking about like bringing in Hikuleo or somebody like that.
Yeah.
The realistic ways for the guys that they had on the roster, I think Punk was the right choice.
I mean, it felt, I disagree. I think it was very wedged in there. I don't think they needed to go 5-on-5. There was zero reason to bring in Bronson Reed. They could have just done 4-on-4.
Yeah, but they did. So
I know they did. I'm saying it was dumb.
So the fifth guy, I think it doesn't really make sense. I think Bronson Reed makes less sense than Punk does.
That's why I'm saying a fifth guy didn't fucking make any sense whatsoever.
Well, but here's the thing. It sets, because of what Punk did walking into that match, it potentially sets up Punk versus Bronson Reed in the future. The fact that Rollins turned them down and Punk showed him up by actually accepting Heyman's invitation, it now potentially sets up Punk versus Rollins. It sets up Rollins versus Roman going forward. So, there are different ways that they can go with this story now that maybe they couldn't have gone if they brought in a different fifth guy. I agree with you. It could have been 4-on-4, but traditionally it's a 5-on-5 match.
All this is for Heyman to owe Punk the favor. And if we think about what it is that Punk's always wanted in WWE that he's never had, it's the main event WrestleMania. And that's going to be the fucking favor that Heyman gets him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's going to be really funny when he co-main events it, and then the next thing he's going to be like, yeah, but I wasn't the actual main event.
That's what happened last time. That's what happened last time. Don't worry, he'll get into a fight with someone on WrestleMania weekend, and he'll jump ship, and he'll be in TNA 6 months later.
Hey, man. He's a model citizen now, and it's all because he doesn't have a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
I heard they're doing a remake of Farscape, and he's going to be starring in it.
Shut the fuck up.
The internet is an odd place.
I would actually watch that. 1, I love Farscape. 2, I do like him.
Acting?
Yeah. Alright.
He knows story structure.
Yes.
Say what you will about that crazy son of a bitch, CM Punk. He knows how to tell a story.
Now, as one last wrestling with ourselves assignment, I tasked Kyle, and I guess ipso facto the group, with creating the ultimate wrestling event, a 2-night wrestling event, a maximum of, 10 matches, right?
10 matches each night, so 20 matches.
Total.
Yes.
Maximum. Maximum. Could have been 2 matches a night. Could do 4. Doesn't matter.
Out of curiosity, how many total matches do you have, Justin?
18.
Okay, I have 19.
I'm surprised by that.
Gentlemen.
I'm surprised you didn't go
Gentlemen.
How many total matches does everybody else have?
That's what I was getting at.
Oh.
Boys, who understood the assignment?
Yes.
Did you do it, Vin?
Do what?
Okay. Joe, I see you sheepishly staring into your guitar looking for the teardrops on it.
Nope.
Okay.
I had no idea this was even a thing.
Okay, that's 2 for 2. Michael,
Oh, I understood the assignment.
did you do it?
No.
Oh, you guys never let me down.
Great.
Don't let me down.
We're going to
I
have,
can't play that song, but
we
I
have 19
Don't
matches
let
from one of
me
you
down.
and 18 matches from the other. Yeah, I think we're covered.
Okay.
I helped you guys make those lists, by the way.
I thought about Vinny every time I wrote the words verses.
Nice.
I cannot. I don't know if your strategy was my strategy, Justin.
I
But
did.
I kind of wanted to ask you how many wrestlers you got on this combined card because mine looks like a New Japan show.
Samesies, because no one repeated. There's no repeated
No?
wrestler in any match.
Technically 2 people will repeat on mine, but
None.
it is. There's very few singles matches.
Yeah. No, see now I'm the complete opposite. I did this completely to entertain myself and no one else.
Okay.
So let's go night 1 for night 1. I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm starting Ultimate Party Night Wrestling. Match number 1. C. Montgomery Punk versus Jack Perry in a street fight.
That's a good one.
Yeah, some of these picks don't have to be for other people to enjoy them.
Yeah. Next up, Natty Neidhart versus Serena Deeb.
Okay.
That would be one of the greatest technical wrestling matches in history.
Yes.
Third match of my night, Eddie Kingston versus Kevin Owens.
Okay.
You got a lot of brutality set up here already.
No, it is,
Yeah.
like I said, there's pure Justin entertainment. Number 4 for me, A-Town Down Under. Now, Kyle's shocked because I hate both the guys in this, but when I tell you that they're in a lethal lockdown match with Brian Cage and Lance Archer, you'll understand that that's exactly why.
Okay.
1, Brittany Baker versus Becky Lynch. Sammy Guevara versus Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
Gabe Kidd versus Randy Orton because the internet wants it and so do I. Mercedes Moné versus Bianca Belair. And the main event of night 1 for me is a ladder war. FTR versus the Young Bucks versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Usos versus the Gorillas of Destiny versus the New Day versus the Guns versus DIY.
Okay. That is a great way for you to end your show.
Yeah.
Because my show begins the night with a tag team qualifier.
Qualifier?
Oh, shit.
Yes, because the winner of this match will be the 3rd tag team in a match for the tag titles later on in the night. So my tag team qualifier has 10 tag teams. The Acclaimed, Private Party, Gorillas of Destiny, A-Town Down Under, DIY, The Young Bucks, FTR, The Golden Lovers, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and the Hardy Boys. And my second match of the night is Liv Morgan versus Maki Ito.
Oh, I would jerk off to that match so hard.
My third match of the night is it's a 6-man tag, House of Black versus Adam Copeland, Brian Myers, and Matt Cardona. So it's Edge and the Edgeheads. Fourth match is Willow Nightingale versus Bianca Belair. Fifth match is a 5-on-5 match. It is the Undisputed Kingdom. So Cole, Strong, Taven, Bennett, and I'm bringing in O'Reilly for this match versus Chaos. So Okada, Romero, Beretta, Cassidy, and bringing back Jay White as my fifth for that match.
Okay.
Then I have another. Then I have another 6-man tag. It's Blackpool Combat Club, where I guess it's the Death Rider. So Castagnoli, Pac, and Yuta versus the team that should have been in AEW: Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, and Scorpio Sky. So I'm calling them the Men of the North.
Nice.
Thank you. And then I have a 6-man tag women's match. So the Runaways, Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, and Saraya versus 3 of the 4 horsewomen. So Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Mercedes Moné. And then the second to last match of the night is my triple threat for the tag team titles. Obviously, the Lucha Brothers, Motor City Machine Guns, and then whatever team wins the qualifier. So I'm not putting a condition on that. You can use your imagination. But I would probably make it FTR so that I could get that match. And then my main event of the first night is, for one of the titles, is a Fatal 4-Way. Swerve Strickland, AJ Styles, Ricochet, and Finn Balor.
It is scary how like-minded we are with certain things.
Yeah. I mean, my night 2 has some overlap with your night 1 still. So.
All right, night 2 for me. In the Fragile Ego match, Cody Rhodes versus Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Rhea Ripley versus Athena.
Holy fuck.
Because I need it in my life.
Okay.
Damian Priest versus Okada. Because again, I fucking need it. This match is really good. Despite the fact that it is absolutely for my entertainment and love of Asian women. Hikaru Shida versus Julia versus Io Sky versus Kairi Sane versus Mina Shirakawa versus Riho.
Versus who?
Riho.
Oh, Riho.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Kenny Omega versus Sami Zayn.
Okay.
Roman Reigns versus Jon Moxley.
Okay.
Yeah, notice I said Jon Moxley, not fucking Dean Ambrose. Nia Jax versus Nyla Rose.
Okay.
Then in a ladder match, Zack Sabre Jr. versus AJ Styles versus Jay White versus Swerve Strickland versus Pac versus Shelton Benjamin versus Finn Balor versus Ricochet.
I'm so glad you fucking did this.
And
I'm so glad you did this.
my main event, the match the internet has wanted for so long since Seth Rollins opened his fucking mouth on Twitter. Rollins versus Will Ospreay.
It's a good one. I almost did that. But then I realized that personally there was a match I wanted to see Will Ospreay in more.
Night 2, buddy.
Okay. Night 2 starts with a 20-man singles qualifier eliminator match. This is to be the third person inserted in a triple threat match for the other championship. So it's Darby Allin versus Dominic Mysterio versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus Chris Bay versus Jack Perry versus Vikingo versus Braun Breaker versus Andrade versus Nick Nemeth versus Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest versus CM Punk versus Kenta versus Jacob Fatu versus Moose versus Mark Briscoe versus Eric Young versus Samoa Joe versus Tetsuya Naito versus Eddie Edwards versus Logan Paul versus Hologram versus Joe Hendry versus Cody Rhodes.
A lot of verses.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Second match of the night is Chris Statlander versus Charlotte Flair.
Hmm.
Third match is It is a 6-man tag team street fight. It is Jon Moxley, Sami Callihan, and Eddie Kingston versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton. And then I have another 6-man women's match. It's Damage Control, so Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane versus Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, and Hikaru Shida.
It's just funny wording. A 6-man women's match?
Yeah.
Am I the only one who chuckles at that a little bit?
So my second night is just like it would be such a long pay-per-view. It doesn't even. So I have a 60-minute Iron Man match as my 5th match. It's Gunther versus Takeshita
Wow.
for
You're
60
dropping
minutes.
an Iron Man match and a show with like 9 different matches.
Yes, and then I have this night has 10 matches. So then for my 6th match, I have another 6-man tag team match. It is the established dominant team versus a team that was dominant on the Indies. So it's the Hurt Syndicate, Lashley, Benjamin, and the guy that I think is actually going to be their younger member, who's Ricky Starks, versus MJF, Holiday, and Hammerstone. So the Dynasty from MLW. Was it MLW or GCW? I don't remember, but
probably
my 7th.
Honestly, probably both.
Yeah. My 7th match is actually the match I would most want to see. It is an Elimination Chamber match, but it is the weirdest Elimination Chamber match ever. It's Chad Gable versus Pete Dunne versus Hechicero versus Jonathan Gresham versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. And then my 8th match is Rhea Ripley versus Athena versus Jordynne Grace in a triple threat match.
I left out Jordynne Grace, and I was upset with myself.
The second to last match of the night would be Seth Rollins versus Hangman Adam Page versus the winner of the Eliminator tournament from earlier. And then the final match of the night is the Bloodline, so Roman Reigns and the Usos versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. Because as much as I want to see Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay fight, I think Aussie Open and the Usos in a ring together would just make that match better.
Yeah. There you have it, folks. Kyle and I.
Oh, and what was the name of your show? Did you name your show?
Oh, yeah. Super Fun Night Ultimate Wrestling.
Oh, mine was called The Prohibited Portal.
Okay. Wow. Forbidden Door,
Yeah.
Prohibited Portal. I see what you did there.
Yep.
Since this is the...
Would they be advertising on Ray Pewter movies at
Yes.
the Prohibited Portal?
Pretty much only advertisements from other things I've done on midweek shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to end this one a little special. It's not going to get the normal Nerdities tag because it's a final episode. So, with all this being said, we must bid you adieu. Goodbye. And good night.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.